and welcome to today's mini lesson covering yes-no questions. So first of all, what are yes-no questions? A yes-no question is any question that can be answered with a yes or a no as a response. Yes-no questions most often have an uprise intonation. This means that at the end of the question, the speaker's voice or tone of voice lifts up at the end of the question. For example, a statement would be, "Today I went to the market," whereas a question might be, "Did you go to the market today?" As you can hear in the tone of my voice lifts up at the end of the question, a perfect example of uprise intonation in a yes-no question. We have three main types of yes-no questions. We have a positive yes-no question, a negative yes-no question, and a reduced yes-no question. Today we're going to focus on positive yes-no questions and negative yes-no questions. So first we have here some examples of positive yes-no questions. Positive yes-no questions have no implication of an expectation from the speaker to the respondent. So as we can see here, we can tell if something's positive if it does not have not or a contraction containing not in it. So here we have, "Are you coming to the party?" "Will you come over tonight?" "Did Hannah tell you I was coming?" All of these are positive yes-no questions. On the other hand, negative yes-no questions will contain not or a contraction of a word that contains not. So here we have, "Aren't you coming to the party?" "Won't you come over tonight?" "Didn't Hannah tell you I was coming?" These are examples of negative yes-no questions. Let's try some of these together. Are these yes-no questions positive or negative? What we should first look for is if a sentence or a question contains not or a contraction containing not. Here we can see that this question contains aren't. "Aren't you coming?" This tells us that this yes-no question is a negative yes-no question. Next we have, "Were they busy?" Were does not have not before or after it, and it is not a contraction containing not. So we know that this yes-no question is positive. Finally, we have, "Didn't someone call me?" We can see that didn't is a contraction containing not, so we know that this question is a negative yes-no question. Now it's your turn. Take some time to do these next three questions on your own. Think to yourself, is this question a positive yes-no question or a negative yes-no question? All right, great work. Let's review. We have here, "He was upset." Wasn't he? Wasn't is a contraction containing not, so we know that this is a negative yes-no question. "Do you play hockey?" Do does not have not before or after it, and it isn't a contraction containing not, so we know that this is a positive yes-no question. Finally, we have, "They aren't coming." Aren't is a contraction containing not, telling us that this question is a negative yes-no question. To review, yes-no questions can be answered with a yes or a no. Positive yes-no questions usually don't imply any expectation, whereas negative questions often imply an expectation from the speaker for the response of the respondent. Thank you all so much for listening, and I look forward to working with you on our next grammar mini lesson.